Did you have to do a lot of research for this book, or was most of the information in your head, you just had to get it out on the page?
No, half and half. I literally had been, well, reporting on the film industry prior to Raimi, you know, directing the first Spider-Man film, to the point where like I wrote pieces about the Cameron script when it had happened, and so I had heard all these bits about, Jake Gyllenhaal almost replacing Tobey Maguire as they negotiated his salary for part two. And they would be anecdotes that I would work into stories, or you'd swap stories with other journalists, And when you finish a book, if you have a publisher who's happy, they're like, well, what other ideas do you have? And so I was like, well, I have this idea of, telling the history of Spider-Man's films, but getting into some of the behind the scenes stuff of like stories that you might have missed. Like I wanted to focus on the Raimi's Spider-Man 4 and what it could have been, on Sony's plans for Andrew Garfield's, Amazing Spider-Man 3 and the Sinister Six movie that Drew Goddard was going to do. And as I was developing the stories about like, here's a lot of things you might not know, my publisher was like, look, man, all these other stories that you're telling me, like, I don't think casual fans know them. Like you should probably put all of them in as much as you can, like make it a complete picture. So then I was like, okay, I'll start doing as many interviews as possible. And MCU Spider-Man was going along at this time, so I was incorporating in stories of things that I'd been learning about the Tom Holland films. And I got a chance. I went to the Homecoming set down in Atlanta, and we did, reporting with, like, we were in the warehouse with Tom Holland in the sweatsuit, costume, and Michael Keaton when they do their big confrontation scene at the end where he's like, how do you think your buddy Stark paid for those toys? Like we were there shooting on that day, and so got to witness all of that. And that becomes the stuff that collapses down on him, which is the cover of, Amazing Spider-Man 33, which is like my favorite issue of all time. And then again, in this bizarro twist of fate, like as we're running up to the release of my book, the With Great Power book, there becomes this inkling rumors of No Way Home becoming a crossover of all three Spider-Men. So we were like patiently waiting there and writing as much as we can, and then being like, if this happens, we've got a great hook for this. So essentially it's from the very earliest days through No Way Home.